Hello and welcome to Almost an Agreement. Tonight's episode is brought to you by nothing at all yet. We got the UT game on the background because we think it's decent product, at least decent enough to bother watching with. Vegas thinks it's a pretty good game too, so that was Max coming in on the phone. Sam's in the room with me. We're going to do what we do every week and talk about all the different things and goings on. Early voting started this week for the city elections. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Find us at almostanagreement.com. Check out our city election cheat sheet at almostanagreement.com/cityelections21. We're 2 weeks or so away from Election Day, so get out there and get after it. Don't forget that the city elections are dumb, and you have to vote for all 5 districts, not just your own. School board stuff's happening. County commission stuff's happening. I don't know. Anyway, football is really the topic that I'm on right now, but anyway. So, anyway, Max on the phone, Sam's in the room. Here we go. So either Vegas is crazy or I'm crazy. I'm not sure which one.
Can it be a bit of both?
I mean, I don't know. I could definitely see this game being... I just got I'm struggling with the whole with it.
I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game.
I think it'll be a high scoring game. I just don't think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a 50-something to 30-something Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is going to put the hammer down. Max, you with us? You? I heard you on the...
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm going to say 60 points combined.
60 points combined.
Yeah.
So Sam is on the way under.
I'm going way under.
I took the over. I took the over significant for my methods, which is only like 30. My big bets are $30-$40, but I took the over on that. But I also took Ole Miss as a pick. I can't imagine Tennessee's winning this game. I'll be excited if they do. I just don't see them winning this game.
Well, when you're 3rd and 30 and you let the quarterback run 40 yards for first down, it's not looking too good.
True story. Yeah, well, and then you do what you did that nobody thought was going to happen was, force a punt on the first drive for Ole Miss, and then you muff it and give them a 1st and 10 at the 15 or something like that. So far Tennessee is doing a good job of figuring out how to make sure they lose this game.
Yeah, but
there's time. I mean, the real story to me in Tennessee football this year so far is it's first quarter and then the first half of the second quarter, and then after that we don't bother playing anymore. Like that Missouri game that we ran it up on them, we did all that in the first quarter and a half, and then we wrote it out, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're not going to blow this game out because we're going to give up a bunch of points in the second half. So
Tennessee only plays 2 quarters a game,
first and third.
Well, they're not playing the first, so they're probably going to play the second.
Okay. So they'll play the second and third tonight, so they'll get really exciting, and then Ole Miss will blow them out in the fourth. Which, again, that's fine.
We just got a strip sack touchdown, Tennessee.
What, dude? We're on a different time scale here. Plus, I don't think we have the rights to say that out loud.
Why?
100%. Well, I guess we're not. We're talking in hindsight. I don't know what the rules are. For the listeners, this isn't live and happening.
We're not ruining it for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, you're not broadcasting anything. You're just commentating on it as.
I mean, the phrasing always goes. It's like any accounts or.
Oh, is it accounts?
Right.
I thought it was reproduction of it. Essentially, if you're taking like recording of the ESPN announcers doing play-by-play.
No, it's always this is a production of SEC football and in association with ESPN Sports. Any accounts, reproductions, or something else, it's always 2 or 3 things they list off.
But me saying strip, sack, fumble, touchdown, like how is that?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'll take it, whatever. Like I said, I just want points. So as points happen, I'm going to just be doing... That was one of my favorite things back in the day when I worked at that bar. When I would take some... That was telling the same pregame, like back when RG3 was at Baylor. And they were doing, I can't remember. It was like Baylor SMU. And it was like an 86. And I took the over, and some guy at the bar was like, "You're crazy, man. 86, that's so many points." I was like, Baylor's doing like 60, 70 points a game on their own. SMU's like a 30 to 50 point, average scoring team. Baylor has no defense. They're going to score a gajillion points. And so I took the bet, and I took a side bet with this guy at the bar. And so as I was working all night, whenever there was a touchdown, which was fairly quickly, I would just scream points across the bar. Just points! Points! And so I like overs. Overs are my favorite bet in football.
Do you guys not have the game on there?
Yeah, I got it on. It's over my shoulder. But mine's streaming through the ESPN app, so it's probably a little bit behind. Generally speaking, it's a little bit behind normal broadcast.
Apparently Kiffin didn't like it.
Of course Kiffin didn't like it.
Like, it's not fair. They took the ball from him.
He tipped it away.
They just took the touchdown.
They took the points off the board, yeah. So.
Oh, did they? Oh, sure.
Okay, so here's a question, a non-politics, non-sports question I thought of this week that I wanted to run by you guys. Like, a concert that you would be really excited to go to, but you wouldn't necessarily be willing to pay for it. Like, if everything lined up perfectly, you had a babysitter for the kids, if that was a situation or whatever, you didn't have to ask off work. You were already off work. Not that that necessarily matters to you, Max, but like, just everything lined up perfectly for a concert, but not one that you'd be willing to pay for or willing to put forward effort in. Like, what would that be?
That's not really like one band. It's like,
I'm just saying,
which one do you medium like that you?
Yeah, okay.
It'd be cool to go see, but you wouldn't pay any money for.
Yeah, that's the question.
That's a very broad question. I'm sorry. I don't know. Max, do you have an answer to that particular question?
Concert would want to for that would go to Widespread Panic.
Okay. I mean, that'd be on. I think I'd put that on one of my lists. Like, I think like a Beyonce, like a big super pop star that puts on like a super show that I don't really care for their music, and as you know, I don't own any albums, I guess, anymore. Technically, I stream everything, but like I don't have the Beyonce's most recent album or whatever downloaded on my iPad or anything like that. And I don't know most of her songs. I know the handful. But like that kind of concert, I'd go to that show. I wouldn't try to go to that show, but if it fell in my lap, I'd go and enjoy it. That's kind of the idea of the question. I think Widespread Panic, like Leftover Salmon was one for me. I went and saw Leftover Salmon in Colorado with my sister, and I had no idea anything about the band, but it was all just kind of like that whole hippie vibe going into this weird venue out in the middle of the mountains in Colorado. I don't know. I'm trying to give a different topic to talk about on here than the same old same old.
It's a weird thing. It's like not a concert that you want to go to, just a concert you would go to if you didn't have anything else to do with your life.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this way:
what would you want to go do that it's free? All
right. Well, then let me change. Let me adjust the question a bit. Like that, a friend or spouse drug you to the concert that you wouldn't be mad at having gone to. Like, you wouldn't be like, God damn it, that was a waste of 3 hours. I could have done something better. Yeah. Same idea is kind of what I'm after. But instead of it being the other person's choice, it'd be your choice. Like, I don't know. All right, fine. You guys pick what the fuck to talk about. Jesus Christ. This is me trying.
Hey, we're just guests on this show. This is your format.
Apparently, you're the worst guest I have on the show. You're the least chatty.
And the best guest.
Got to drag it out of you guys.
Just saying you're not leaving us room for you're leaving too much room for picks, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, I was hoping with my Beyonce answer you guys would call me an idiot.
Give me like a top
like
three. It's like what of any musical artist would you go see, but you wouldn't pay for, but you wouldn't mind going to see?
I mean, I'm not saying you pick the only one.
Just like what kind of answers are you expecting?
I don't know. That's the point. Is I don't know what to expect. Like, it's not like I'm holding you to it. Like, I'm going to go buy the tickets to this thing. Like, now you have to go to the show, bitch.
Ha, ha, ha.
You told me you would do it, so here.
Christmas early, bitch.
I mean, that's not my goal in this. It's just, I don't know. Like, I mean, we saw
I applaud the effort.
We went and saw, like, the Allman Brothers, like, in 2012 at the Civic. Huh. And that was, like, it's not a band that I was super into, but had a good time. But it's just, like, it's one of those weird, like I don't know. But maybe it's different for me because I'm not a big concert person unless it's a concert I want to go to. Like, I don't traditionally just go to a concert because it's Friday night and I got nothing else to do.
Right.
Like, that's not.
I'm not a concert person, even if it is my favorite band in the world.
See, I am, but it's a very short list of bands that I'm going to put forth any amount of effort for.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, last concert that we went to Radiohead, actually it showed up in my memory book in my phone. I opened my phone and it was like, remember this? And it had pictures when we went to Radiohead in Columbus.
Really?
That's not the last concert I've been to, but that's one last major concert. And that's one of the bands that I will go to Columbus, Ohio, or to Atlanta, and I will put forth effort and not sleep at night and then go to work the next morning in that madness.
Stand in general admission.
Yeah. But that's a very short list anymore. And even in that, like I have zero desire for general admission anymore. I don't want to go stand up for 4 hours. And,
right.
You know, I want to have a chair, a seat, like the 2.5 square feet, that this is my area. And if you're going to be encroaching on my shit, I'm going to get security over to get you out of my area. I don't want to deal with it. And I'm old and I know it, but
there are zero events I want to go to that I have to stand up for.
Yeah. I mean,
there's not an event I would go to that I'm like, hey, you got to stand up for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good time to me either.
Now, what sporting event would you go to that was someone tell you to?
I mean, that's kind of where it came from, because the conversation about the bucket list of going to a World Series game. Like, I would go to any Major League Baseball game if the cards were lined up. You know, like if I didn't have to put any effort into it. Like, I mean, which, you know, by default we can't do here because it at least takes the effort to drive to Atlanta or Cincinnati or whatever. But, you know, like if we were, I don't know, like if we went down to Atlanta for some business trip, some, you know, something where it wasn't the point of going to Atlanta, it wasn't the baseball game, but we were there and we had Friday night off and there was a home game and tickets were like $20. Hell yeah, I'd go to a Braves game. You know, but, you know, like, I don't know, like
any sporting events, like it was free and I was in the city.
Yeah. I mean, I'd go see water polo or badminton. I'd sure shit go see badminton. Badminton,
really? Like
pro badminton, like top level badminton. Those guys are mean. That is an intense sport.
It's like a quick, slow pace.
Right. That's what's crazy about it.
Really hard serves, but the shuttlecock's moving very slowly.
Yeah. I mean, they're smacking the shit out of it, but yeah. I mean, I think that's one that I think you're right, Max. I think I would be the same. Like if it was again, if we were, you know, like if we were in Nashville, you know, on our way to or from like a hunting trip or something like that, and we weren't planning on getting up early the next morning, or, you know, if we were flying out to Colorado to visit family or something like that, and the flight was Saturday morning, and it's like, well, let's go to Nashville Friday afternoon, Friday evening, putz around in Nashville for a little bit, and then jump on the plane hit the hotel and then jump on the plane in the morning. Yeah, I'd go to a whatever their soccer team is or their minor league baseball team game just for general entertainment. I'd say I don't know if I'd go to a play or a musical on purpose ever. I mean, I still haven't even. I still haven't gotten through Hamilton on DVD, or not DVD, but it was streaming on Disney Plus, maybe.
Oh, look at me.
Yeah, they did a streaming version of it, and I started it, and I was like, nope, I'm done.
No, I mean, I don't want to see a play like on TV. Like,
I have to go like the Nutcracker. That's about it.
Les Mis at Tennessee Theater, I want to say, down there. It's pretty good.
I saw Miss Saigon in London.
Yeah, I went to sleep through part of that.
I missed that T-shirt. That was a kick-ass T-shirt.
That's right. Yeah, you used to have the T-shirt.
Yeah, I wear the hell out of that T-shirt. I like that T-shirt a lot. So, solid black T-shirt, like, you know, the Miss Saigon logo?
Yeah.
And so it was that logo in like red. It was just a black T-shirt with a weird, like, it looks like Chinese script, but it's a helicopter. It's the way it is.
Oh, is that what it was?
Was the art? Yeah, it's just it's a drawing of a helicopter, but it looks like a Chinese character or Cantonese or whatever character. The way they.
Just remember, I did think it was crazy they had that big of a reproduction of a helicopter like on stage. I'm like, well, holy shit, that's like almost like a full size helicopter.
Yeah. I think it might have been. It might have been just a Huey body that they just.
I think it was. Yeah.
Probably did their thing with. So, see, we're cultured people.
For why or how we went to that? Somebody else's idea. I was like, oh yeah, sure, we'll pay $40.
I think I wanted to go to it.
Was it?
Like, my parents were big into musicals and stuff like that. Like, my mom was, at least. Like you know, road trips and shit like that. We would listen to like Andrew Lloyd Webber, you know, a bunch of Andrew Lloyd Webber and stuff in the car. Like, I knew most of the words to a lot of the classic musicals, for lack of a better word. And so that was something in my family. And Neil Diamond. That'd be another concert. I'd pay to go to see Neil Diamond. He's not dead yet, but I don't think he's touring anymore. He's like 90.
I think Bob Dylan's coming to town.
Reba's coming.
Coming to town or coming to Nashville?
Reva's coming here. I think she's playing I think she's playing Tennessee Theater.
But I am.
Yeah, I'd go see Reva. I mean, I'm not a big fan of her music, but I mean, that's kind of where this question spurred from. I think was that particular when I saw a commercial for that concert, and like, I'd go see that. I don't know her music that well. I'm not a huge fan, but I bet she puts on a killer show. Real pro style. Well, okay. That's my attempt to not do politics. Early voting started this week. Super happy. Congratulations. Matt Shears had his baby 2 nights ago.
Ooh, congrats.
His wife had his baby, I guess, technically speaking, but
he had a party.
Mr. Matt Shears is a new father. He made the good joke. He messaged me earlier today, and he said something along the lines of his wife's mom was hanging out and helping out and doing whatever. And it's like, she just left to go home. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no adults here. You can't have a baby here with no adults here. I was like, yeah, get used to it, buddy. It's all the time. And I was like, I can't remember, to try to remember my own quote. It was like, probably the least libertarian thing you'll ever hear me say is they let just anybody have babies. No license, no permit, no testing. Just anybody can have a baby. So anyway, congrats, Matt, on your baby. But early voting started this week, and I'm an asshole, and so he's got a 1.5-day-old baby, and I'm asking him for data. So he was
give me some digits.
He was supposed to give me the early voting chart that he was doing because early voting started Tuesday, and I'd heard. I guess traditionally the West Knox early voting locations usually do the most, and they're up, but I hadn't seen the actual numbers. So,
yeah, I think the downtown West has always been a popular voting spot.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a ease of access or the people in this neighborhood.
That's a semi-central location and that, I mean, I don't think there's more than 4 or 5 early voting locations in Knoxville, period. Could be wrong. But I don't think
there's one. Every district has one. So
every district has.
There's at least 6.
Okay.
And I think that's by rule. Every district there has to be one in each district if they're going to have any.
That makes sense.
And then I think there's 7 actually, because I think I don't know, because City County Building always has it, and I don't know if that counts as the District 1 or it's just the central one.
District 1 that I'm in.
You're in District 2 in the city race.
Okay, never mind.
Wait. No, you're in District 1.
They're,
you're 1. Tommy Smith and...
yes, I think the early voting place is...
it's a church
down
Chapman,
on Chapman, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because District 2 is the one that's out on my side of town. But not quite. I'm getting AT&T fiber put in right now. So...
Oh, is that what shit was going on out there?
Yeah. So, I don't know if that's... I guess kudos to the KUB deal that's forcing AT&T to hurry up and do it. I would assume that AT&T's hope is that they get it in, all the customers like myself who are AT&T customers currently.
Lock you into a contract.
That they maybe not lock me into a contract, but at least get me that high speed of service now.
True.
So that I don't leave them.
No reason to leave them, yeah. Right.
Because I think if KUB was here first, I would switch to KUB's high speed. And then AT&T would have to work a lot harder to try to get me back as a customer.
Right.
So either way, I win. So thank you for government-assisted competition, I guess.
Woohoo.
Maybe. We'll see.
Government-assisted competition.
I mean, yeah. I mean, to be fair, my understanding of it forced AT&T to. I think it was one of those things that AT&T was planning on, and was kind of slowly working on. But
I'm sure they were picking certain markets in which to invest that money in.
Right, and so and maybe this was just on the docket anyway, and nothing actually changed. It just so happened to time out this way, and it just, from my personal perspective, it seems like this KUB thing came through, and then AT&T came by afterwards. It could have been AT&T's plan anyway. I don't know that.
I would think it was probably their plan in the long term, but
but they shifted up their goals. Right,
yeah, this just kind of pushed it to.
But I'm just saying, to be fair, we don't know if it. I mean, it's
true.
I don't know for a fact that AT&T wasn't already scheduled to start working on this in the fourth quarter of 2021.
Right.
Or maybe it was the 2020 was when they were originally planning on doing it. Got pushed back a year because of COVID shit, or flipped over the other way. I don't know, but anyway, I'm getting it. So hopefully, I can get out better YouTube videos and stuff when I do it. Because one of the problems we have in this house is like when I'm down here and I got the full setup going, and the boys are on their switches, watching YouTube or playing Fortnite or something like that, it can get a little laggy in the house. And so, like, you know, it's a rock and a hard place for me. It's like, get off your switches. You're killing my internet and killing my video feed.
Yeah, I thought you
but then they're running around yelling and screaming.
I thought you had a different provider anyway.
No, I got AT&T. I mean, I have AT&T, Comcast, and Frontier in my pantheon of cable providers, for lack of a word. But for the house, it's AT&T. But so, yeah, anyway, early voting started. Some of the shit's been rolling around. Mayor Jacobs may be losing his mind. I don't know. It's been a weird little...
What?
Let me see if I can find some of them. Like, he's been... like, I don't know. It's the shit that I comment all the time that I don't like about national politics all the time. It's like... So apparently a portion of the lawsuit that... the mask mandate for the school kids thing, there was some portion of that some attorney that was in part of that lawsuit somewhere was funded by some Clinton family, whatever kind of political action committee or something like that. And I'm trying to find it. Here we go. I think this is this one. Democracy Forward, which has filed briefs in multiple lawsuits in Tennessee, which includes the opt-out mask mandate as well as the Knox County thing. Quote from Mayor Jacobs: "This group was founded and is managed by high-level Democratic Party operatives with significant ties to Hillary Clinton. People like John Podesta, who was Bill Clinton's presidential chief of staff and chair of Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. Their main goal is to advance a political agenda that removes the ability of parents to determine what is best for their child," Jacobs said. And so this group is attached to the lawsuits and stuff that we're dealing with in the school system. And so, you know, the small government version of me is like, yeah, let's not have the idea that a federal judge is doing something locally already has its issues for me. And then you add on top of that other organizations outside of Tennessee are jumping in on that lawsuit to try to push the agenda of what that judge is ruling on that changes what's going on in Knox County, Tennessee. I agree that those are problematic, but at the same time, it just feels like this is some of that wind up to campaign, like the full board campaign time for Mayor Jacobs as well. Like it's starting to paint the picture of, you know, if you replace me with one of their team members, this is the craziness that will ensue kind of game.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, this is the world, man. This is what we're doing. You didn't want to talk about concerts, so let's go.
I don't know where he's getting his quote from, as far as this was a lawyer that was a part of something years ago that received funding from blah, blah, blah. Or is this an actual lawyer that's a part of this current lawsuit? Because I think it only went to the Tennessee, or no, the Eastern District Federal Court.
Yeah, that was
can't remember what
Judge Greer or whatever his name is a federal.
For the Eastern District of Tennessee or Eastern District of the U.S.
No, it's the Eastern District of Tennessee, but it's, you know, each. I think what was it? Jamie was telling us each state has 3 districts. It's either a north central south or an east central west.
Yeah.
So there's 150 federal districts, plus a handful like Guam, I guess, probably has their own district and stuff like that. But there's 150-ish federal districts, and they're all split up. And it's each state times 3 is a federal district. And so there's an Eastern District of Tennessee, but it is a federal Supreme Court. It's not the big, you know, it's not the federal Supreme Court there. It's one of the lower court things, but it is a U.S. court. It's not a Tennessee court, is the moral of the story. So anyway, that's, I don't know. That was
How about a bit push for Netflix to cancel Dave Chappelle's shit?
I heard about that very tangentially. I didn't hear the whole story at all on that one. You can, if you want to fill me in, I'll comment on it, but I don't know the story other than.
He was making some transgender jokes and stuff, and apparently some people got their feelings hurt, and they think that Netflix should take his comedy special off the air because of his transgender, whatever.
His transphobic,
I guess would be.
Does he have a new special? I need to watch it if it's a new special.
Yeah,
it's
called
a new special.
No.
Closing.
Because his last one had a trans joke in it. No, two specials ago he had a trans joke in it, and then the special that was in between the two, he had a bit making fun of his transphobic joke from the special before. So apparently he has trans jokes in all of his specials.
Well, it was trans, but it was like LGBTQ whatever thing, and he's like, man, LGBTQ gets a lot of stuff moving. He was like, maybe us black people should have been gay to begin with, or something to that fact. He goes, it would have took us 200 years to get somewhere, or something like that.
That's a pretty rough joke, but
Yeah, I heard there was also like some kind of like whistleblower with Netflix that put out like how much money Netflix had paid out to, I guess, Dave Chappelle, and I guess for the rights for some other things, or how much money they made off of some of these specials.
I mean, that's what I'm like with the way that Netflix works. That's one of the things I'm kind of curious about it, because it's like, they pen some pretty big deals.
Essentially, like buy the rights to be the sole provider of it.
But if you're, I get it, because if you're Netflix, you need to be continually putting new stuff out, or people quit subscribing. But at the end of the day, it's like you have 1 million subscribers at, what is $12 a month or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you're just bringing $12 million a month, but like, obviously there's some operational costs of the servers and the staff and all that kind of stuff. But for the actual content that you're not creating that, you're buying it. I don't know. It's just a weird business model in my head.
Well, no, I mean, they started doing their own movies and TV shows.
But they've started producing them, and then that's added a cost. But I'm just saying, on a base level, it's you're buying
the rights too, kind of, yeah.
Right. I mean, it's the same model, I guess, as Blockbuster was. You're buying the movies before anybody else can get their hands on them, and you're renting them out for $12 a month. But they are now, but originally they weren't making the movies. Like the comedy specials, a lot of those, they do a forward where the comedian gets a deal, and they say, we'll pay you $10 million for your special. And then the comedian goes out and films the special and then turns it over to them, and everybody's happy. And it doesn't matter if 100 people or 100 million people watch the special, the comedian gets paid. So the comedians tend to like this format.
Yeah,
because it doesn't matter on viewership, because Netflix does not share numbers. Apparently, they don't tell you how many times your special gets streamed or anything like that. And then,
yeah, I guess depending on the format, yeah. As a comedian, you could just have your tour or whatever recorded in bits and bits,
right?
To create a special.
Right.
And you just release it. You're like, I already got paid because I already went on tour. Like, that's just extra money now.
Yeah, and yeah. And it's not like you're right. Like some comedians would do a specific, this date on tour is my special.
Because that's the thing. You release special like that to a broad audience, you can't go then do that material all over again.
Right. That's true too. That's why Rogan says it all the time. He's like, that's like the gut check time. It's like you release that special, and you got to throw all that material out, and you have nothing to work with anymore.
Right.
And you got to start over. And it's like, all right, got to get back to work, kind of thing. So
I already heard that joke.
Yeah, except for Bert Kreischer, he has to do the machine. Like Rogan was talking about. Rogan had Bert on the other day. Do you know Bert Kreischer is? Guy that always takes his shirt off.
Right.
He has the machine story, which like Rogan is just joking. It's like he's like, in all the comedians and all the comedy I've ever seen in my life, there's only been like 3 comedians ever where I've gone to a show, and the crowd is requesting a bit. And the machine being one of the very few on the list, where people that have seen you 3-4 times will go see your whole new act and really enjoy it, but demand that you do the machine before you leave.
Yeah.
And so he's like, he still does the machine on tour to this day, which it's a great story. It's hilarious. Apparently they made a movie of it. Maybe his goal is that now that whenever the movie comes out, he can quit doing the bit.
Did they make a movie of it?
Yeah. It's not released yet, but they made a movie of it. They shot it in like Ukraine or something like that. But yeah, so anyway, so I'm curious to see. That's interesting. It's a funny bit. So I'm curious how well they turned it into a movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, that started with I don't know. Mayor Jacobs is getting full on like right left fight bullshit.
Is he up for re-election next year or something?
Yeah, I think he's in 22. So, I mean, I guess to me this comes down to one of my issues, and that one of the things I pitch a fit about all the time is I hate that Mayor Jacobs feels like he is allowed to take the floor on a topic that's none of his fucking business. Because the school board is out of his hands. The way the schools work are out of his hands. It's not his job. And, you know, at least one of the videos he put out on the topic, he leads it off, and it was really funny reading the comments, but he leads it off with, as mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, I have no authority over the schools. That's not the way we're set up. The schools are a state body, blah, blah, blah. He actually breaks it down and explains it. But as mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, I will do my best to do what I can to push back these unlawful, unconstitutional mandates from a federal judge, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you just acknowledge the fact that you have no authority in this conversation.
So wait, but you can't honestly think that. You're the mayor of the city, and even though you don't have any say-so of the school systems, you shouldn't have any responsibility to the people in your community school district?
I mean, I get the question. I guess the argument at play here is like, well, those people that voted for you as Mayor Jacobs also voted for Christie or Virginia Babb or whomever their school board member is. And so the way I interpret the way government is supposed to work is we have different bodies that we elect to do different jobs. And so, yes, if I voted for Mayor Jacobs and then didn't vote for school board, and I'm going to get pissed off that the school board's not doing what I want, well, that's my fault for not voting for school board. If I voted for Christie, who's anti-mask, I believe she's on the anti-mask side of the school board members, and I voted for Mayor Jacobs, the people that I voted for are doing what I want them to do because I don't want the mask on my kids. But it doesn't matter that Mayor Jacobs has an opinion on it. It's Christie or Virginia Babb or whomever your school board member is, but you elect that person. What's the point of electing both bodies if they are going to contradict each other? Because, well, we put Jennifer Owen in on school board, but Mayor Jacobs gets to override her, even though he has no authority over school board.
No, I never said anything about overriding her. But as mayor of a county, you have some clout. So yes, you should have something to say over the city that you're covering.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I think that's a weirdism of the way we're set up.
What do you mean you don't agree with what? That he should just keep his mouth shut over a topic because he doesn't have any control over it?
I mean, I think he can. I respect that he's allowed to have an opinion on a topic, but to take that opinion into and I will do everything I can to undo this thing that's out of my control. And again, I still think I don't know. I still think an elected official needs to be careful when they're speaking on something that's not in their, ought be careful when they're speaking out of something that's not in their wheelhouse.
Right. They have no legal authority, but they can lean in their political influence of it.
We don't have any say-so over any of this stuff. We've hired these people. We should just keep our mouth shut and not say anything because we really can't do anything about it. But we don't. We have a podcast that talks about shit like that because we want to talk about it. And just because we don't have any control over it doesn't mean that we need to bring it to light of what's going on.
Right, but right? The difference in
he has a bigger stage.
I agree with that, but the difference in the two is that people conflate the fact that since he's mayor of Knox County that he has authority on the subject. That's why I say you need to be careful. Not that he shouldn't have an opinion on it. He's very welcome to have an opinion on it. He's a human being, but he ought to be very careful about how he vocalizes his opinion to not give the impression that he has some authority on it. Because the comments in this whole thing were like, how does the mayor of the county not have any authority over the school board? It's like, well, because it's not really a county school board, but whatever, the problem is that people don't know how the government works, and so they take him as, well, Mayor Jacobs says he wants to get our kids out of mass, so it's going to get done because he's the mayor. It's like, well, no, it's not his job. Because in the same turn is then why did we vote for school board? Or why did we vote for our state reps? Or why did we vote for these other bodies? Why don't we only vote for the mayors and governors and presidents and skip all the other legislative bodies?
Okay, so does that judge have jurisdiction over the school board? We didn't elect him.
Yeah, he does, technically.
Why?
Because this is a civil rights matter.
Does what?
Because the lawsuit brought before him was a civil rights, and that's a federal law. And the way our government...
I'm confused. How is mass a civil rights issue?
Because it is the plaintiffs in the case, the people that brought the case to the courts, were a small group of students and their parents. The group of students has disabilities where they're more susceptible to sickness, and in the Civil Rights Act, it's not just race or gender or anything like that. That also goes in the American Disabilities Act that followed it a couple years later, where it's that a public school system is required to put forth minimal effort. I can't remember what the phrasing is, but minimal effort to have a safe and equitable school available to all kids or whatever. And so the argument in the case is that these kids can't safely go to school unless the other kids at school have masks on because they're more susceptible to get this thing and get sick and or die. That was the entirety of the case. This is a civil rights case for disabled students. And since it's a civil rights case, it goes under federal jurisdiction, a federal judge, and I'm pretty sure this guy was appointed by Daddy Bush, maybe Bush Jr. It's one of the Bushes, I think, is appointed this federal judge many moons ago, but he has the authority to see this case through, and that's where we are.
But Mayor Jacobs doesn't have the authority to see a court case against the school system.
I mean, technically, he was a defendant in the case, so I guess he does have some right to talk about it, but by the structure of the system, he has no authority over the conversation. No.
Okay.
As I understand it.
Yeah, I just don't understand how you think that the mayor should just keep his mouth shut if he has nothing to do with...
I didn't say keep his mouth shut. I just need to be very careful about the way he talks about topics that are not inside his job. Because we, the community, are very susceptible to saying, oh, well, if he said something about it, then he must be able to do something about it.
So what would you say? How did he start off his speech?
I mean, one of the videos, he did mention that he started off by stating that as the mayor of Knox County, he does not have authority over the school district, but that he would do everything in his power to get this federal judge out of our local jurisdiction.
So he should be careful for what he says because they're stupid people.
I mean, I guess if the goal is to, I don't know, I guess no, he shouldn't, because for his own sake and for his own political career, it's better for him to be loose and wild with it and let people think whatever they want to think, so that when he says, I'm going to do everything I can for the schools, even though he can't do anything for them, but people that care about schools are more likely to vote for him. So yeah, in the same way that, what was it, read my lips, no new taxes, and every other fucking campaign lie that we've ever heard in our life is okay, then yeah, it's okay like that. I mean, that's really what it is, and that's kind of what I started to bring it up as. I mean, it feels to me like this is the beginnings of that roll into, 2022 election cycle starting to get going. Everybody's starting to announce their goals and blah, 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 blah. And so it's time to start drawing those lines on which side of this topic are you on. And, I guess to me, I think it's a problem that we let it go and we say, well, Mayor Jacobs is anti-mask. And so all the anti-maskers are going to go vote for Mayor Jacobs, when it's like, well, anti-maskers that are voting for Jacobs are stupid because he doesn't have anything to do with it. Like, we as a populace are letting that slide, letting him speak out of turn and use that as a tool to get himself reelected on a topic that he has no authority over for the job he's asking for. And that's where the real problem to me lies into it. And that's where the real, yes, I don't have authority to speak on what happens in the school board. We don't as a podcast, but we do in at least the attempt to try to get a more educated public on what they're voting on.
Does the mayor have the ability to say mask mandate in Knox County?
I think now with the new Board of Health adjustments, maybe.
So, I mean, you hear all over the country mayors and stuff that are, having mask mandates in their city and stuff like that. So could the mayor put a mask mandate on the county of Knoxville? And if he put a mask mandate on the county of Knoxville that everyone has to wear a mask, would that now force the schools to wear masks that are in the county?
I don't think so, because as I understand it, the county schools are under state jurisdiction, and so the state's authority on it would supersede the county's. So if the state said no masks, but the county said masks, then theoretically the schools are obligated to follow state law, not local.
What?
I thought the most recent ruling was it went back to the head of Knox County Health Department.
Right, for the countywide part, but not for the schools.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if Knox County decided to say mask mandate,
I get what you're saying.
Schools did not have a mask mandate. They would do a mask mandate in schools. So therefore, they would be controlling the school system, which is opposite of what you're saying.
I don't know that could be what happens, but I don't know that is legally how it would function. Because again, I think that the Department of Health is a state body as well. It's not a county body. The Board of Health thing that we had was a county body created in conjunction with the state body kind of thing. It's an overlap of governments thing that's happening, and that's why it's confusing. But as far as I understand it, and I'd have to clarify.
The health department, even though it's a state entity, they're ran in counties. Right.
But they are subject to the state Board of Health's policies and mandates, just like the school system. The school system is mandated by the state Board of Education, not by the local governments.
Yeah, but like when I had my food truck, I had my Knox County Health Department check, and my thing was from the state, the Tennessee Department, Health Department. It was a state thing.
Right.
But if I wanted to go to Maryville, they wanted me to go get inspected by their health department, but I already have because it's the state health department, but they don't care. So each one of those state health departments operate independently.
But weren't you telling me that you talked to somebody about it where they said, no, that's stupid, you don't have to have that, that's Maryville trying to flex on something, it's not necessarily an obligation?
No, I mean, the police came by and told us to leave because we didn't go and do it. I mean, I don't know if we wouldn't have left, what would have happened, but...
Yeah, I don't know. Again, that's a good question. Because again, it's one of those, as I understand it, a lot of, the Blount County doesn't exist without permission of the state of Tennessee. The city of Maryville doesn't exist without the permission of Blount County and or the state of Tennessee. Like, all these things are dependent. Like, as far as I understand it, generally speaking, how things work is the state holds the vastest authority over most of the conversation about any of the policy procedure stuff on our day-to-day life.
Yeah.
That it's actually the middle government that matters most, not the top or the bottom. Which I still think is wrong. I still think the bottom should be the most impactful in your day-to-day life. But again, I'd have to double check this. But
is there a Knox County business license?
Yes.
Is it a state of Tennessee license? Is it?
I assume it's separate.
No, like we have at our business, we have a county license and a state license.
I can only assume that that's the logic they're going off of as far as like the health standards.
Right.
I mean,
and I guess I think
I don't know about restaurants if they have a state health department. I know they don't have a state health inspection.
Right. And I think I think a local can do on top of
state.
On top of state. So state has a level of 9, and the local has a level of 10. As far as like one particular item or whatever, but I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird mess. But
I don't know if they're doing it like as far as like business license wise. If they were like, okay, yeah, you're a Tennessee business, but you also need to be paying Blount County business taxes or whatever, of being kind of like being a mobile business essentially, operating in their county.
Yeah, but I still don't think I don't like. I feel like I could get behind the idea of having.
If they feel like they're missing out on
for tax purposes, I could feel like
their cut of their taxes.
Yeah, but that doesn't go through the health department though. That's what I'm saying. Like I could get on board with them being pissed off that you're coming down from Knox County and paying and collecting and spending money and doing that whole thing. But then that collected sales tax that you do goes back to Knox County for the local portion. Yeah, because you're registered in the county, not the city, right? The food truck.
It was in the county, but I had a county license and a city license.
Okay, but I was saying so whatever sales tax you collected that went back to the local portion was either going to Knoxville or Knox County. Doesn't really matter which one. And I could see Blount County being like, yeah, you can come down here and do business, but your local portion has to come back to us. And so you need to get a business license and register the sales that you do in our county to us so that 2.25%, 2.5%, whatever it is that we have an add-on local goes back to us instead of going back to your home county. I could see that being the argument, but not the health department part. Maybe they figured that was an easier way to get rid of out-of-county people.
I mean, I'm assuming they have the same standards, so it wouldn't be a violation of standards.
No, but like if you are, it was just like food trucks blowing up and everyone's trying to get their money. But like if you're a brick and mortar store and you do a catering job, you're brick and mortar in Alcoa and you do a catering job delivery to Maryville, nobody in Maryville is saying, hey, you just served food in Maryville. You need to be inspected by our health department, or we want a cut of the sales tax on that sale.
Right.
You know, but because my actual cooking was inside there, you know, they're not hitting up every Domino's and Pizza Hut and Papa John's that deliver and be like, well, how many houses did you deliver to in Maryville this week?
Yeah. Again, like I said, I mean, it makes more sense to me if they're flexing on it for tax purposes, or maybe they just found that was the easier way to get some local revenue out of food trucks, or get them out so that their local food trucks had a better shot or would get more sales and shit. Yeah. But like, I think, and I'd have to double check this, but I think like school property is technically state property. It's not county. It's not city property. It's not county property. It's state property. I'd have to double check that.
Well, we were at American school when that happened.
I know, but I'm just saying for our school board party, because like I made the joke.
But in that argument, I wonder if it would be like the city or county leasing it, quote unquote, from the state.
Absolutely, because I mean, I made the joke a couple of times to a couple of the different board members I've had in here recently, where I was like, I think you guys need to change the title. I think Knox County Schools is misleading. It's Tennessee State Schools, Knox County Division, is how it needs to be titled. Because again, it goes to the Mayor Jacobs thing, it goes to county commission thing, it goes to city council.
That should be a public access thing to figure out what the deed of the actual owner of property of.
Yeah, I'll try to look it up on KGIS.
School property. Yeah, because I would think, in your logic as well, it's actually owned by the state, but maybe quote unquote managed by the county.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess it's technically on this road. Anyway, I just think I think that's that's the problem at play. I think the problem at play is that, you know, I make the joke all the time, is that we're the hiring managers. We're in an election right now. You're the only one in the conversation right now that's actually voting. Max and I aren't voting right now.
Me neither.
You're the only one that's allowed to vote right now. You should vote.
Me neither.
Why aren't you voting?
I can't. I assumed since I voted last November that I was automatically registered, but I didn't realize until I was watching local news a couple Mondays ago when they said today was the last day to register for city elections.
You son of a bitch! You're not registered to vote?
No, not in this current election. No.
You son of a bitch!
I just got to working and totally forgot that the end of that evening was the last day to get on the website and register for this election. I assumed since I voted less than 9 months ago or whatever.
Unbelievable.
I know it. I failed.
That makes me so mad, buddy.
Sorry, I can't vote. I'm in the county.
Right. You have an excuse.
Yeah.
How do you know?
That land, the land is owned by Knox County Board of Education.
Okay, so then it's owned by the state.
That's the land. If you look at Halls High School. Well, that's weird. So where Halls High School sits, it says the owner is County of Knoxville. Halls Elementary says Knox County Board of Education.
Huh.
I went to Onyx and researched it. Property, right?
Yeah, I mean, it does. Works for me. I was doing it through KGIS trying to find it, but
I mean, it should essentially be semi the same databases.
Central.
You would assume it would be going off the Knox County Register of Deeds or whatever.
Yeah, Central says Knox County owns Central High School.
Huh, says the county owns some and the Board of Education owns some. Superintendent's got his pick of a couple.
Yeah. Let's see. Where is Bearden?
Which we're right now in the hunt of a new superintendent.
Yes, we are in superintendent.
Which it kind of blew my mind. Not Bob Thomas, but the previous McIntyre came all the way from Massachusetts.
KGIS says it's a Knox that Rocky Hill is a Knox County property.
Huh.
Well, Bearden says Knox County Bearden High School.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny. If you lived at Rocky Hill School, you would vote at Dean Hill Rec Center. You can't vote, but Rocky Hill is a polling place. But I guess you can't. You're not allowed to vote in your own house. So, but you're also district for Rocky Hill Elementary School. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, land use is another separate kind of complex story in and of itself. But anyway, the joke being, though, is that, I mean, for all intents and purposes, school board members work for the state. They don't work for the county. That's the distinction I think I'm trying to make here. They work for the state. They don't work for the county. The State Board of Education puts the guardrails, I believe, as one of the board members explained it to me. The Board of Education of the state puts the guardrails in place, and the Knox County branch of the Board of Education, being our school board, adjust policy to how we want to do it locally. But everything comes from state authority. None of it comes through county commission, city of Knoxville. None of that has any real play in it, other than the budget thing the commission approves, and sometimes like the auxiliary stuff on a new school. Like they want to build a new school.
Yeah. I think it's similar to like a city or county, as far as like their administration employees. Yes, you're a employee of the county, but you're also de facto an employee of the state. Right.
Well, I mean, because again, Knox County doesn't exist without the state of Tennessee's approval.
Right.
But again, my whole point is that Mayor Jacobs' thoughts and feelings are valid about what's going on in the school system. But anything he has to say about schools should not be part of the information for my voting for him or not in his next election. And I think that's where the fine line is that's problematic. That's why I say he ought be careful about how he talks about it, because he is either intentionally misinforming in order to further his own agenda.
Right.
Because he knows full well that he has no authority to do anything over the schools. He might have some political pressure that he can push here and there on certain bodies. He might have been pushing on some of the school board members to vote against the mask mandate because he wanted it this way or that.
Right, but alluding to the ability to have actual influence.
Right, it's just him selling an idea to a voting base in order to get himself elected on a lie. And I think that's what needs to be called out carefully. It's the same thing I call out on a number of different. I mean, It's that same thing that I keep getting into with the Knox Dems Facebook page about, is that they keep attaching shit going on in the schools to Mayor Jacobs. And it's like, you guys know as well as anybody that he has nothing to do with that. Don't give me this shit about he's talking about it, so we have to, that gives him some authority on it. It's like, no, you stay, if you're going to be a political party, you need to stay on task, because you need to be promoting your candidates to say that our candidates aren't going to go out there and tell you a lie about what we can and can't do because we know they can't do that thing. That's what you should be doing. But by blaming things on Mayor Jacobs that he has no authority over, you're contributing to the lie that a mayor has that authority, and you're going to play that on your candidate in the future.
It sounds like a vagary upon a vagary.
Right. It just pisses me
They're
off.
being
It's
vague
stupid.
and that he has the power to do it, and they're pointing out the vagary that he's saying that he has the power to do it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but they're not. They're not calling him out for that part of it.
Right.
They're only calling him out for...
They're being vague and pointing out his vagueness.
Right.
Right.
It's like, right, if the Knox Dems page was calling him out for saying he's going to do something with the schools or something like that, and saying, hey, that's not his job. He's the mayor. The mayor doesn't have the authority over that thing. I'd be like, you're right. Good job. That is the correct answer. But when the school board meeting a couple months ago was all crazy with the anti-maskers and stuff like that, the Knox Dems page made did some sort of post where Mayor Jacobs supporting the anti-mask things in the schools or whatever, and it's like, you guys of all people know better. You shouldn't be attaching that because it's going to go to your candidate too. And maybe that's the greater political philosophy that I think needs to come into play. It's like, if any power that a political person has, if they're on your team and if they're not on your team and you don't like it, then you shouldn't like them if it's on your team either. Like, that's like the whole thing. Like, all the power that Trump had, everybody that hated Trump was scared to death of Trump and this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, all those powers that he has, now you're claiming and trying to want Biden to have those powers that he had, instead of trying to walk it back, because you should be setting it up so when the worst person possible takes the seat, they can't do all the things that you don't want them to do. That would be a goal in life, I guess, for me, at least, politically speaking, is to have less power and authority, less stuff. Because again, it's like if I trust you to do a thing, but with the process, the history says eventually, if not sooner, I think the Democrats are going to shit the bed in the midterms. I think the House and Senate are both going to turn far right, or not far right, but going to take, the majorities are going to flip, and so Biden's going to get even less done for the rest of his presidency because he's going to have a Republican House and Senate.
Yeah, we've been in a constant flip-flop.
That's what I'm saying. And if that's the reality, that is the reality that we live in federal governmentally speaking, right? If that is the reality, then the House and Congress, or the House and Senate, should both be doing everything they can to make it to give the president as little power as possible. Because no matter what, the next president almost always is going to be on the other team. And so if you don't want that worst possible scenario, Trump, to have that authority, then you sure as shit can't give it to Biden, or you sure as shit can't give it to Obama. Because if you give it to Obama, then the next one has it, and the next one's going to be on the other team. And if the next one on the other team is the worst possible version, then that worst evil thing possible, you gave that authority to that person because you gave it to your guy when he was there.
Yeah.
And that's something, like, I don't understand how they don't think about that constantly. Like, I think that would be my first thought process on any legislation if I was a senator.
I did hear an interesting proposal, and I think a Supreme Court committee or something, I guess that is a part of somebody outside of the Supreme Court. I guess somebody has proposed that a president shouldn't have more than two Supreme Court nominations within their presidency, which I guess like a Supreme Court legal committee or whatever was in favor of.
Say it again?
It sounded like they were proposing an idea that a term president, whether it be 4-year or 8-year, would not have the ability to recommend more than 2 Supreme Court nominees to the Supreme Court.
For the entirety of their per term or both terms combined or whatever?
I'm assuming for both terms combined.
That's interesting. I mean, what happens? Like, what happens when, an RGB? RBG, sorry.
RBG.
When RBG kicks the bucket on you, and now we have a vacancy. And let's assume for conversation that... Say again?
Yeah, you've already elected your 2 people, so you cannot... we got to wait till another president happens.
Right. Now, given the specifics of this example, we could have at least waited till the election happened. But then if Trump would have won again and he couldn't... What happens then?
All right. Well, what happened when Scalia died?
I'm just saying, like, that. I like the idea of putting some sort of limit, so you can't just hit some weird gap in time where a couple justices die and a couple retire, and then all of a sudden you have one president putting 5 of the 9 on the Supreme Court or whatever. But what happens if, I've done my 2, I'm in my 3rd year of my first term?
Well, I'm assuming the people that are on this commission have forethought that simple immediate gut reaction.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, that's like,
Right.
like
I'm with you on it, but
I mean, I think it's, there's been a big.
I mean, it's the first I've heard of any of this kind of proposal, and I thought it was kind of interesting. And it was interesting that at least, I guess, the people that are up on that level, I guess there's some kind of Supreme Court commission that thinks upon these things.
I mean, I think there's definitely room for some rethought on how we're doing it, and so I'm open to ideas.
Yeah,
like I'm really into Andrew Yang. I'm digging on Andrew Yang right now.
Before Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, I mean, there was people kept asking her, like, are you going to recuse yourself? Are you going to step down? Because it's got to the point where we've got a few that are pretty old. I mean, Stephen Breyer, I guess it is still on. Everybody has basically been like, hey, are you getting ready to retire? Like, why don't you go ahead and retire?
Well, I believe, and I can't remember specifically where I heard this or whatever, but I believe that there was conversation about RBG retiring before Obama left office.
Yeah, I think there was a push for it. They're like, hey, why don't you go ahead and retire? That way
Obama
we can go
replace you just in case Hillary loses.
Right.
And I believe, and this is a misquote, but I thought I heard that somebody quote RBG as basically saying back that Hillary's going to win, so I'm not worried about it. That's a paraphrase of vague memory at best on my part, but that was the story I'd heard on it, was that there was conversation about maybe she should go ahead and retire so Obama can pick her replacement. Which is gross in a secondary version of things, because that's the reason you have a lifetime appointments, is that it's supposed to be apolitical, but then there's conversations about you retiring at a certain time for political purposes.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a weird, like, I get it, but I don't know how it'd be better filled. Like, I don't think this is the best way. I just don't know what a better way is. Because I mean, we as a populace sure shouldn't vote on it, because that doesn't make sense. Because I'm really excited. Because we got a bunch of judges and clerks and shit coming up on this election. I'm really excited to bring Jamie in here, and actually what the fuck is your job? Like, what is it like? Right. What is the difference in you and somebody else?
Right. Yeah, that's the general populace voting upon a federal judge or whatever.
Right.
Versus people we voted for voting upon a Supreme Court justice.
Right. And so I guess, so the question to be on the Supreme Court is like, why is it a lifetime appointment? Like, wouldn't it be like maybe a 12-year term makes sense? Because a 12-year term would get you at least to another president regardless. Like if it's your first year as president and I appoint, if I was just elected president, somebody dies and I appoint you in my first year, no matter what, I'm gone before your term limit's up. So that a different president will be, maybe it's a 12-year term limit, but not term limit in the sense that you can't continue to hold the seat, but there's a 12-year limit, and then you can be reaffirmed or you can be let go.
Yeah, but then you have to be like, oh wait, I've got 2 more years left, and that's there's a Democratic president, so I need to play nice with the Democrats, or I'm thinking they're not going to reaffirm me after 12 years. So now you're not making judgments of what you should make. Now you're making judgments to keep your job.
Right,
but I could see that, yeah. Literally, your job is on the line.
Right, a perfectly good logic there, and I agree with you, but that's to pretend like that if you're Kavanaugh appointed by a Republican, that you're not going to vote Republican-ishy on your shit anyway. And I guess that's the problem I have, is that by having the partisanship baked into the cake, the whole point of that is that we know what you're going to do. Like, that's the problem with Eddie Manis in the state of Tennessee, is the Republicans hate Eddie Manis because they don't know what he's going to do, because he's not going to toe the line like he's supposed to as a Republican. Mm-hmm. And so when you're a judge and you're appointed by a president of whichever party, you're expected as that judge to kind of follow the party line as a judge would on topics. That's why they put Kavanaugh in. Everybody's freaking out about Roe v. Wade now, because now the numbers are pushing towards where the Supreme Court actually could do something about the Roe v. Wade case. Whether Kavanaugh would or wouldn't is a separate topic, but that's the argument at play every time. Kavanaugh
came in before Comey Barrett.
Right, but still, either way, it was the Trump appointees, because they're going to be more right-leaning judges, because they're appointed by a right-leaning president.
Gotcha.
And so again, it's the whole thing is the expectation is they're going to do what the party that appointed them wants them to do.
Right.
Which that's the point why it's a lifetime appointment is that, Comey Barrett could get put there and then go completely against the agenda of the right, and they can't do anything about it. That's the point of the lifetime appointment, I think. But that's not how it seems to play out either.
I mean, the point of the lifetime appointment is putting them into that power is they are supposed to be an impartial judge. That we shouldn't have any expectations of their partisan leanings. But, I mean, the fact that they are human, we know they have certain leanings just by the precedence of cases they've ruled on previous to that. But, I mean, the ideal position of a Supreme Court justice is you're supposed to be able to weigh both sides equally without any, not jurisprudence, but any prejudice, basically.
Yeah, that's the idea behind it.
That's the hope of someone, deciding the fate of important issues.
Right. I mean, and again, I understand the framework of why it is what it is, but it doesn't seem like that's how it works anyway. It doesn't seem like. It seems like you have person X who was appointed by Republican president is always on side one of the issue. Ooh, those are not good. Apologies.
Yeah, I don't know I know there's a lot of Supreme Court cases that go, well, obviously there's Supreme Court cases that go into the Supreme Court. But
yes, they are.
That don't get mentioned that we have no fucking clue on, but the only ones that get highlighted are the controversial ones.
Right.
That may or may not have more consequence on the public or just may make headlines.
Truth indeed. I just think, again, I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out on different ways to do it.
I just saw an interesting thing I read recently.
Yeah. Andrew Yang, have you followed Andrew Yang recently at all? Apparently he's...
what's he doing these days?
He released a book and he's starting a new party.
Did he run for New York City mayor after the failed presidential election?
Yes.
Okay.
Failed there too.
Gotcha. What's he doing these days?
Starting a new party.
Called?
The Forward Party, I think is what it's called.
The Forward Party.
I mean, basically, it comes down to one of those things, and this is a conversation that's been in libertarian camps as well. Is, are you better to try to reform the party that exists more towards your angle? Because generally speaking, a lot of the libertarianism can fit inside kind of republicanism. If you get down to it, it tends to fit more inside the party. And so, as libertarian candidates in the past, Ron Paul ran as a Republican for president, but on a libertarian. I mean, he ran as a libertarian, but on the Republican ticket because a lot of the checkpoints fit better under the Republican Party than not. Yeah. And so the question is, having a different viewpoint from the party standard, are you better off to try to reform the party from within, like Andrew Yang is a Democrat? Is he better off to try to change the Democratic Party into a different version of it with some of his ideals, or start a new party? Because, which one's harder to do? Change the Democratic Party as a whole, or start a third party that has any chance of doing anything? Both of them are pretty
a daunting,
pretty high bars to.
I mean, just to create a new political. Libertarian Party has garnered a lot more of a following in recent times. But
it has.
Starting a new party in general.
But I can't remember. Let me see if I can find the numbers.
An actual organized party. Because even when you go and vote for the president, there's at least 6 different technical, quote unquote political parties that you have to vote for.
It depends on the state, on whether they get to have a party affiliation with them or not.
True.
Let me see if I can find it. State of Tennessee, 25 signatures to run as a Democrat, 25 signatures to run as a Republican, 56,082 if you want to run as a different party other than independent. If I want to run as independent, I need 25 signatures. But if I actually want to run under the label of a party that exists, like if I wanted to run for District 18, if I wanted to go after Eddie Manis's seat as a Libertarian, not as an independent, if I wanted to go as a Libertarian, get the L on the ticket, do that whole thing, 56,000 signatures for my petition to run for office. That's more votes than I think were cast between Manis or Couch.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check those numbers. But
Libertarian Party was 250.
Libertarian Party, 56,000.
Okay.
No, but you only need 25 to run as a Democrat.
Only need 25 to run as a Democrat, 25 to run as a Republican, 25 to run as an independent.
25.
25 signatures. That's all you need.
But if you want to run at a party that you suggest,
So you just say independent, but then on everything else, you essentially identify yourself as another semi-party.
Right.
Being vague.
Right, but you go.
I'm
also
independent.
Right, but you go into the independent pool. You don't go into like when you get your ballot. When you go and get your ballot, and there's 5 people on it. It's
right.
it's
Whig.
alphabetically the Republican or the Democrat first,
Right.
second alphabetically the other,
Right, all the way down to Whig.
and then. But I'm saying, so if it was me and you running as the Republican and the Democrat, I would be first on the ticket because my last name's first. You would be second on the ticket. But if there was somebody with Adams as the last name, they would be third on the ticket because alphabetically doesn't start until after the Republican and the Democrat are on.
Yeah.
So you're automatically, even though you're first alphabetically out of all the people in it, you're automatically third.
Right.
Now, if there was a third party and this Adams person was running as a Libertarian, they would be first on the ticket. Or they would be third on the ticket if their last name ended with S or whatever.
Aaron.
Right. But I'm saying it matters. I mean, I think that's one of those things that it actually matters to people. They get past that line and they don't pay attention anymore.
Right.
But then you're in the whole pool of independents instead of these are partied candidates and these are not.
Yeah. They assume, as it is, that it's listed in the party of quote unquote importance.
Right. And so
They start with the major and then everybody else.
And I think part of the problem being too is that I'd have to get Chris Davis back in here to talk about it, but there's a lot of money spent, tax dollars spent on not campaigns, but actually balloting for primaries that our money gets spent on. And there's conversation about not letting us vote in unless you're a registered member, but that's a separate thing. But like when Eddie Manis, the whole Eddie Manis and Gina Oster thing, that whole primary is funded by the state of Tennessee with tax dollars. Their individual campaigns are not, but all the process of tallying votes and all the primary stuff, that is a public thing that they do. Now, if I want to run as a Libertarian, then somebody else does. And that's what I think that's the reason the last time they tried to get ballot access, that's why the reason the Libertarian Party could get access, because it would cost some ungodly sum to add another party to the primary list. So that when they did primary elections, that the county election commissions doing those primary elections would have to spend the money to hire ballot workers and do all that, or hire poll workers and all that kind of shit to do their primaries. It's like, well, you're doing everybody else's primaries anyway. It ain't going to cost you anymore. But that was the at least the stated reason why they wouldn't do it. But I don't know. I guess I've made the mention a few times. Like I think, and that's one of Andrew Yang's things too. Obviously, because he's starting a third party, is to get more party access, whether it's his third party or others, so that the term third party dies, because it's now going to be like a seventh party is the new different one. Like 5 or 6 parties normal. Because again, I still think that's
he's trying to start a grassroots initial own brand new party.
So the forward party.
Forward party. Yeah.
Can't remember all the pillars. One of the pillars was ballot access for more parties. I can't remember the whole pillars of the forward party, but sure as shit not.
I'll applaud him for the effort.
Andrew Yang.
What else you guys got?
The pillars are universal basic income, a universal healthcare system, property rights, voting and electoral reform, which, that gets ranked choice voting. That's another big one. Open primaries and ranked choice voting, which Tennessee's already an open primary state, so that won't do anything here. But it's not. Well, I don't know. I'd have to see what his definition of open primary is, because we have open primaries for a party. You can pick whichever party the day of. But I'm not sure if I think what he means by open primaries is that I could go in and pick a Democrat for a seat and a Republican for the same seat, and then who I want. I could pick. So if there's two people running for each seat, I can vote for each Democrat and Republican.
And the ranked choice voting, of his ideal, okay,
right, and then and so ranked choice voting, I'm still a little confused, and I think the way it works. Let me look it up and make sure I'm quoting correctly.
I like the idea of it. I think it makes sense. If people are actually voting as it's intended, and that's
right.
I think that's the big hurdle of it.
Well, and so, but I mean, the idea would be that if there's 5 candidates for the seat, you go 1, 2, 3, and then if you go through and you finish it up, and whoever got the least gets thrown out, and then whoever of that least. So if you were the 5th person and you got 100 votes, or 100 ones for you, then all of your 2s would go. Anybody that had somebody else as a 2, but you were their 1, those 2s would go to those people, and then you drop the lowest person, drop the lowest person, drop the lowest person, because then theoretically you have the last person standing has at least 50%, at least 51% of the voting populace,
right? Yeah.
So that it's actually a majority. So you don't have a 32% of the population voted for a person and they win the seat.
And in theory, you're getting your most likable candidate going in there. Or maybe they didn't pick you first or second, but a lot of people picked you third.
Right.
Everybody else picked like the other people, lesser.
Right.
You're at least like essentially the most wanted person.
You're the least unwanted person.
Right. You're you're the least unwanted person, which in theory should be more democratic.
Well, but right. In theory, it should give you. You should be more. You're likely to be more.
You're the least
in line.
You're the least hated person of the group.
Right. You're more in line with more of the population on the major issues, theoretically.
A Libertarian Party would get elected every single year.
I mean, I don't know.
For the most number 2 votes.
Right. Well, if and that's if nobody else was on board. If it was just Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, yes. Because if we were if we go back in time to the 2020 election, it would be, 300 million for that's not right, 70 something million for Trump, 70 something million for Biden, in the ones category, and then actually no, probably not. We'd need a 3rd, 4th party. I don't know. I'd have to figure that out, because then you'd only have so many ones left for the Libertarian. But then the Libertarian's going to get all the 2s, is essentially what you're saying. But it doesn't work that way, though, because if I understand the way it works correctly, is that it would be, no matter how many people you have, the lowest number 1 drops off. And then everybody that had that person that dropped off as a 1, their 2s go out to whoever's left. Does that make sense? So the Libertarians wouldn't win. It would be... It would come down to the people that were voting for the Libertarian having the most impact on it, because the election's close enough. Because whoever the whoever voted for the Libertarian's number 2 is who's going to win the election.
Right.
But I think right now, at least, if you only had the 3 parties, it would be, again, it would be Trump got 70-something million, Biden got 70-something million on the 1 vote column, and then the Libertarian with 15 million would fall off. But those 15 million votes would then split, and whoever's number 2s from that Libertarian vote go out, that would be who would win the election. That's if the presidential election was a popular vote too, which is not the way it is either. But on the most number 2s, yes, the Libertarians would win, because everybody that had Biden would have Joe Jorgensen, the number 2, as their number 2. Everybody that voted for Biden would have Jorgensen. Everybody that voted for Trump would have Jorgensen, because the last thing you're going to do is put. If you're a Trump voter, Biden's going to be the lowest number you're allowed to put on him. And if you're a Biden voter, Trump is going to be the lowest number you're allowed to put on him. But I think we'd have the same result currently.
I was reading something today that I didn't realize was even a thing, and apparently it's been talked about in some circles of Trump being the next Speaker of the House. That so apparently somewhere in the rules, you don't have to be a member of the House of Representatives to be voted in as the Speaker of the House. So there's been some people that have pushed Trump to be...
Where did you read that? I want your source on that one.
Would you like me to put it up on the screen?
It'd be this screen. That we still got the football game on that.
Oh, okay. And I can put it to you.
No, I'm just giving you shit because I trust you. When you say you saw something, I believe that you got it from a reputable place.
Okay.
I'm just giving you shit.
I know.
Because I'm the one that has the terrible... Well, Max has got the worst, but I have bad sources.
Well, no, that was just me being drunk one night. And just my automatic gut reaction being like, I should have been like, so where did you...
It was the natural immunity
where'd you get that from? Instead of being like, where the fuck did you hear that shit?
Dickhead. What'd you say, Max?
I said, just because you guys follow mainstream media for all your sources, so the sheep that believe everything that Fox and CNN tell you guys.
Yeah, Sam, you sheep. You're not calling me a sheep. Yeah. I don't do mainstream media.
I listen to Siri. Everything I ask Siri, she tells me the truth.
Hey, Siri, who's the President of the United States? Well, you're in Tennessee, so that means the President's Trump. Siri has self-interest because she doesn't want me to throw the phone and break her. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, you were saying that there's some weird rule that you don't have to be a member of the House to be the Speaker of the House. I think Pelosi's gone. She might not lose her seat, but she's gone. She's not Speaker after this midterm.
I think so.
I think it's going to be pretty catastrophic that the Democrats are going to lose the House and the Senate significantly.
And like I was saying before, I feel like that's happened in years past.
It's normal. I mean, it's the same thing we argued about with...
It's like the general public just being like, this shit's not going right. Let me try something else.
Right.
It just kind of like starts going back towards the other end.
Right. Why didn't Trump build the wall? Trump had at least 2 years of a Republican House, Republican Senate, and he held the White House and couldn't get his wall built. Yeah. Why hasn't Biden done his major building blocks? He's had a Republican House, Republican Senate. And he is the president, but he's not getting his major shit done. Is that because, the mansions and the cinemas of the world fucking everything up, or that he really doesn't want to get it done? And I think it's the latter. I think Trump was the same way. I think most presidents, they run on these big, lofty things, but they don't actually want to do them. Because what happens when you do them? They either work or they don't, but it doesn't help your chances of getting reelected by getting shit done. Not like running on the hope of getting things done. It's easier to run on the idea of it.
I mean, I don't think Biden's trying to do like any immediate fixes. Like a lot of it's been like long-term fixes, which are really hard to get results of.
I mean, he's proud of himself for getting the Port of Los Angeles to go run 24/7. Stupid.
Which, honestly, it blew my mind that hadn't already been happening.
I mean, they've
been talking about a backlog for like a month or two.
It's been beyond that.
Of how many ships are like off the coast.
I mean, you know why, right? It's a union thing. The union didn't allow it. That was Biden's whole thing. Is he went in there and talked to the union and got the union to be okay with it.
Huh?
It was a union thing. It's been a union thing for decades. The union didn't want the 24/7 shift. They didn't want to add the third shift because it changed the dynamics of their employees, their union members, and the union didn't want it. And so Biden went in there and talked to the union. It doesn't matter.
It kind of makes sense, but it doesn't make sense to me, like logically either.
But the reality is that, okay, fine, the port's open 24/7. Does that mean there's going to be truck drivers that can come pick up the containers, or the trains are going to run a whole new set of hours, or the destination for all this stuff has somewhere to go? Yeah, it has a destination, but does that warehouse have room to hold it? Like, there's a whole lot more shit going on than just the fact that we can't get it on shore.
All right.
Because it's still the labor shortage issues. There's so much going on with it. So I don't know the conversation right now. Did you see the presser where?
Right, but I would also say in that logic, since they knew they weren't unloading that much, there wasn't the demand for more rail cars coming in there for exiting of those containers.
Sure. I mean
but down the line,
it's going to take a second for the supply chain to catch up.
Yeah.
It's not just all of a sudden there's going to be enough trucks to take all the containers out of the port,
Right.
or there's enough trains to take it out of the port, or there's enough destination for all the things. I mean, one of the issues, apparently the Port of LA...
Obviously, there's enough destination for all the things, or else it wouldn't be coming in.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get you. I know.
But, I mean, like,
Some
apparently...
of it was just restock. Yeah.
Apparently the Port of LA has a thing about you have to bring an empty container because they need to ship them back. And that was a thing that they're adjusting some rules on, because it was like, we need to have containers to ship back.
That's been the downfall of our economy. We buy more than we're purchasing. Or we purchase more than we're selling. Yeah.
Right. But so like a lot of people are packing containers with just scrap steel and sending it, a container of scrap steel to China, and they just scrap the whole thing, including the container.
Right.
And make some shit out of it, put it in a new container, and then ship it back over here. It's, I don't know. It's a mess. Like, it's a fucking mess. Did you see the presser where they were asking if the president could guarantee Christmas presents on time?
No.
Oh, man, it was pretty bad. Because it was like, what's her name? Saki?
Yeah.
She's like, the president is not UPS. He's not FedEx. He doesn't guarantee package delivery. It's like, damn, that was rough. It's like, I understand. I mean, I agree. It's not his job. But, I mean, it's like... we're working.
I've heard retailers like already saying like, "Hey, if you want to get Christmas presents, like, go ahead and start shopping early. Like, don't be mad when, middle of December if shit's not on the shelf that you wanted to buy."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, why is that even a question to the president whatsoever?
I mean, it's.
Because we buy things from overseas.
Well, I mean, it's a question to the president because he ran on the return to normal, and normal would be I can order my shit on December 2nd, 5th, 10th, and get my shit on time. That would be normal.
What?
Yeah, but of all the fucking shit that's going on in the United States, we're worried about, are people going to get Christmas presents on time? Like I think Sam said, fucking order them earlier.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm looking. We've started our shopping. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. Are you saying that Biden promised that things would be back to normal by Christmas of this year?
I don't think he said. I don't think he gave the date by Christmas this year, but like it was a return to normalcy. That was the kind of the gist of his campaign.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
I guess kind of. Yeah. You're right. He gave the improper illusion that things were going to be back to normal. I mean, by the end of the year.
To be fair, his entire campaign was "I am not Trump." That was really his entire campaign. But that was anybody's campaign running against Trump, because that's right. That's the easiest way to run against Trump. Is I'm not that guy.
I mean, anybody running through a crisis is going to say, "Yes, we're going to try to find a return to normalcy." Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to pick on you.
No, you're fine.
On that one quote.
You're perfectly fine. I'm just saying, I agree with Max that it's a weird question to ask the president. Other than, he was coming out of the negotiations with the Long Beach thing and stuff like that. So the point of trying to get these ports to open up more and get more product in, because it's all like apparently in like New York, Northeast somewhere, there's like 60 something big ass container ships just kind of floating out there waiting.
That's probably nothing compared to the West Coast.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was the whole. But it was a press conference coming after. Yeah,
there was something I was reading, and like, even after, because I guess Biden somehow conferred with some other major retailers that even with this going on, they're still looking at a backlog for months.
Yeah, for sure. I know it's gonna be interesting. But I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I agree. I don't know how much of that. It's like gas prices. Everybody likes to blame the president for gas prices, but generally speaking, it's not right. It's not something the president has real control over.
Outside of like embargoes and blah blah blah. But I don't know, like I say, it still astounded me that the ports hadn't gone to 24/7. I would think with that many ships out there, that me being some kind of receiving company would be like, oh shit, there's that much more like out there yet to receive. Like, maybe I need to add an extra shift to receive this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the logical thing to do, but unions are involved, so logic doesn't always line up.
All right.
I mean, that's just the facts. It's just management can't just add a shift.
I mean, it's always been our busiest part. Like it just didn't occur to me that we hadn't already been running a third
Apparently,
shift.
we're the only first world country that doesn't run all of our ports 24/7.
Huh.
And so, like, I don't understand like it confused me. Like the idea that it wasn't a thing anyway was weird to me.
Right.
And so I guess there is some hope in that, is that we're only running 2/3 of the time available to get all these ships out of the and all their crap.
We've been doing so great on 2/3 shifts.
Right. So, now that we had this, it should be a third faster or a third more stuff. But I don't know. It's going to be a weird Christmas. I mean, I don't know. I've seen some stuff some places. There's a John Deere's on strike right now. There's a big set of John Deere workers on strike. The Frito-Lay thing's still going on. There's like there's a lot of like,
It'd be 30% faster. It'd be 50% faster. Do your math.
Yes, you're correct. It would be 50% faster. There would be 50% more coming in on a third more time. I apologize. Excuse me. But yeah, the Frito-Lay strike. I bet like a lot of grocery stores I go in have like no Gatorade on the shelf. I don't know what that's about. Like very little, like very, very little. And that's a PepsiCo.
Yeah.
It's a Pepsi company product, but I don't know what that's. I don't know. I hadn't heard anything specifically on the Gatorade side of things, but there's very little Gatorade on the shelf right now.
I heard there was a shortage again of containers, but I want to say it was glass containers was what was going on right now.
Oh, for actual finished product container?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we had the can shortage last year. We had the aluminum cans were an issue last year for a little while.
Right.
Because I know I was talking about the Coke guys. Go ahead.
I said it's hard to find Gatorade.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what that. I haven't heard what that one's about though. I remember Coke last year stopped doing like Diet Cherry Coke and a bunch of the weird, like, more specific flavor sets. Like it was just Coke, Diet Coke. Like the big ones were the only ones that they were doing in cans because of the can shortage. But I don't know what's going on with the Gatorade kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I find it strange as well. Oh snap! Going into halftime. Last time out. Okay. I need this touchdown, Tennessee, before half.
I'm feeling better about my less than 60 idea.
Let's do the quick math here. Max, don't ruin it. We're behind you, so don't tell us what happens.
I see that. Right.
I'm saying we're at 33 right now. Tennessee could score before half.
Right.
So that's one half. So times 2, which is in the mid 60s. I'm not feeling so great about my over 100. My 80 is still an option.
Everybody's going to get worn out, which, I mean, could go either way. It could be they get worn out.
Usually defenses wear out more than offenses do as far as scoring and stuff goes. Plus, if it gets close, it gets to overtime, then you get really weird scores. But, yeah. Football, people. Football and container ships.
I mean, I'll bet you right here, $5 less than 60.
Okay, I'll take it.
All right.
I've already got a ton of bets on over 80 and an over 100. I might as well take one more on
why not?
Over 60. Oh, I only
over 100.
Yeah, I got 3-1 on it though.
Huh?
I got 3-1 on over 100 with George. Oh, Lane's about to burn all 3 of his timeouts. Super icing the kicker.
But I was just thinking, blah 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 blah.
Thinking, I can't use these timeouts in the second half. I get a whole new set. I might as well burn them, right?
Will you pretend like you're talking to me right now? Like, I know the camera's on us.
I don't wear any clothes that actually fit me. I always wear the biggest shit I can find.
You make me look cool.
So I don't know what else is going on other than the Gatorade shortage, which we don't have a clue to. I don't know. I'll see if I can find something out.
And we can talk about. I thought that was crazy. I thought that apparently Trump could be the Speaker of the House. That apparently there's some rule that you don't have to be an actual member of Congress, but you can be voted in as Speaker. And apparently people have encouraged him to do this, and he's been asked about it and has kind of been semi-dismissive.
I mean, he would say yes to it if it actually came to be the thing. He would say yes to
basically,
it.
Yeah. That's basically what he's been saying.
It says PepsiCo is set to raise some prices to offset supply chain issues, which includes a shortage of plastic bottles for their Gatorade sports drinks. higher transportation and commodity costs amid the pandemic say it's likely to integrate a price hike in the first quarter of 22. Sales, however, remain strong. This is WJHL. I don't know what that.
It's a local affiliate.
Yeah, Johnson City, Channel 11.
Yeah, he used all 3 timeouts in a row.
Well, he's only on his second right now, so don't ruin the. Don't tell me whether or not to make this field goal.
I won't, but he used another one.
I mean, that was my joke. I figured he would. Holy shit! Here's a neat little factoid. Gatorade holds 67.7% market share on U.S. sports drinks.
Makes sense.
I mean, I mean, they are like, yeah, Powerade's a joke behind them.
No, like if I'm getting somewhere and I get a Powerade, I'm like, it's like go and get an RC Cola. like,
oh, you only got Powerade? Well, shit. Okay. You got a moon pie?
There's a moon pie beer out right now.
That's gross.
I don't know. Try that peanut butter, and we got a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at the North Store.
Oh shit!
I don't think it was that one. I tried one that was similar to it. That I think was some kind of peanut butter and jelly.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It's just the peanut butter had a burntness to it. Nailed it. More points. Points.
Thanks, Kiffin. You gave him time to rest up.
That's right.
He made it by like 5 feet.
Hey,
it was not a long kick.
Makes it through the uprights, and points are on the board. We're a little behind where I need to be. We're at 36 at halftime. I wanted to be at about 45, but, 36 to... There's room here. Oh, shit. George just texted me. He's talking shit, I'm sure.
You ain't making that 100, buddy.
Yeah, it's all right. What's funny is he took the under as it stands, I think, but he cares more about. He's like, I care more about taking the 10 off of you than I do about whatever I've got on my other bets. He's like, if it ends at like, I think it, like, yeah, he said, I think he said the final. His guess for the final was like 35-24. He's like that under 80, 35-24, something like that. And I was like, nah, it's gonna be over. And then we went back and forth, and we made the bet on my over 100. And then he came back to me and he said like 65-34 because he wanted to be at 99. I was like, I thought you wanted the under. He's like, yeah, but I'll lose that other bet just as long as I beat you. And I was like, all right, that's fine, whatever. Because I put more on the regular over than I did with him anyway. So if I hit if we get in the mid 80s, I'm perfectly happy. Pred score it was 1-1 last I saw.
Yep, now it's 1-1.
Now it's 1-1.
Yeah, as far as last time I looked at it, yeah.
Oh, I thought I saw it on the bottom line that said it was already 1-1.
Yeah.
But hockey season started.
I just now looked at it. Sorry.
Watched a little bit of the game. I didn't know Sid was out he had surgery over the summer.
Really?
Yeah. Like there was discussion about he might be back for the first week of games, but not likely or something like that.
I think I saw Ovechkin just passed some guy, I think the last name started with the D, to go into like 5th of all leading scores.
Nice. I hate that guy. But
I did watch it. It was kind of interesting. I guess it's on TNT now. I guess it's one of the NHL's new sponsors or whatever. Partners, yeah. They had Gretzky shooting on Charles Barkley in goal with Pekka Rinne's goalie pad and stick.
Okay.
Trying to score goals, and Gretzky got 4 out of 5.
I mean, I would think so. I mean, yes, Barkley's a big dude, and he's going to cover most of it naturally.
Right.
But I wouldn't think... Yeah, I would think...
Right. I mean, it was like 15, 20 feet out as well on whatever kind of plexiglass floor it was.
That's funny, though.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting to see. Because he is now one of TNT or whatever's new commentaries. They got Gretzky to come on and do some mid-game commentary.
It's TNT style.
Yeah.
They like the old guys.
Why they had Barkley there, I'm not really sure.
Barkley's TNT's basketball coverage guy.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. He's pretty funny. He's gotten a bunch of he's gotten on and off in some political bullshit. As of late.
He gets made of a lot for his golf game.
Yeah, he has the weirdest golf swing in the history.
He's got a really goofy swing.
Oh, did Bama play today?
Say again?
Did Alabama play today?
Apparently,
yeah.
so.
Mississippi State.
Yeah, they're showing some stuff. I didn't even see that game on the schedule. Oh God, do you every once in a while, Max, get in the mail right before football season the book?
Yeah.
Everyone, I don't get it every year. I get it like every 3 years for some reason. I don't know why. People that mail it.
Well.
And so generally speaking, it's Vegas. They're good at what they do, and so usually they put it. They're guessing at what time the games are going to be too, and the way they list them. And it is awful right now because there's so many teams that are not winning and losing. Like so many things have shifted around on the big scale. So it's like you got all these, weird games that are Vegas thought would be noon games, so they're early on the day's book, and they get pushed back. I don't know. I always think that's a little funny thing about Vegas putting the book out so early.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got printed out.
Yeah, I know. I just think it's weird. Like, it's just because it's all number shit. Because you have a number for each box you could fill in or whatever. But I just always think it's weird that it's like, the week 12 games are already in the book, and who knows what time they're actually going to be scheduled. And so it gets really weird because what Vegas thought was going to be an afternoon or a night game is way down on the list for the day, but it actually ends up being a noon game because, for whatever reason, TV scheduling changes it.
Mm-hmm.
I always have it it always drives me nuts about it. Like just trying to find the right games because it's like, well, I don't know, because I bet in groups. I do a noon game set, I do a 3:30 game set, and then I do a night game set. And I can't remember, a couple weeks ago there was some game that was a 3:30 game, but it was way down in the bottom of the list, and I didn't notice it as a 3:30 game. And so I was like, oh, I'll have to remember to do that one later. And then I come back at the 7 o'clock hour to look at it, and it's like, where's that other game? I was going to take whoever, and I missed it. It's already gone. But Sam stepped out. He's hitting the head. But I don't know what else is going on in the big world that you want to talk about. Nothing. World Series baseball. I'm a little bitter that the Braves beat the Brewers, but it's because our stupid ace pitcher broke his hand in celebration. Did you hear that story?
No.
Yeah, one of the guys, I don't know, one of the starting pitchers for the Brewers, when they, you know how it gets late baseball season and there's all the super math on, clinching the division, clinching the playoff spot, all that kind of stuff. They go when they put the plastic up in the locker rooms, and they got goggles and champagne and all that kind of bullshit. And so apparently post-game, the game that didn't matter what the Brewers were doing, but I think St. Louis lost or something like that. And when St. Louis lost that day, that guaranteed them winning the NL Central. And so they were back in the locker room post-game, celebrating, drinking, and partying, and this dude punched a wall in excitement and broke his hand and was having surgery and was going to miss the entire of the postseason.
That hurt you.
Yeah.
That's might would have caused them to lose.
It certainly didn't help. But yeah, they lost to Atlanta in 3 games, or 3-1. And if I had made the trip down, it would have been the Tuesday, the game that Atlanta closed out the series, and I would have been the one guy in the Brewers hat there. Really, really sad. Not really, because it's baseball.
So, what do you think? It's going to be Atlanta and Red Sox? Or
Houston. It's Boston and Houston for the AL, and it's Atlanta and I don't know. Are we that far? Do what?
What do you think it's going to be?
I don't know. It's baseball.
Red Sox, they tied it up 1-1.
I mean, LA's it's 2-2 right now in the LA game, and the LA Atlanta game is the.
Yeah.
But that's it. We're down to the 4 teams.
Yep.
But this is game 1 right now of the Atlanta LA series.
Yeah, it was game 2 of Red Sox.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Boston series they're tied 1-1. Boston stole one on the road. I guess that's a good thing. Yeah, I don't have a clue, man.
I don't know.
I mean, if you want me to put something on the record, I'll say, just to piss off AC, I'll say LA Boston.
LA Boston.
Yeah.
I don't. I go to the World Series.
Do what?
And I don't get to go to the World Series.
Just fly out to LA or fly up to Boston.
No, that's too far. Atlanta's drive.
That's fair. All right, fine. Well, no, because I mean that's the one thing that I want to lose just to piss off AC is the Atlanta part. Everything else is cool. Anybody but Atlanta is where I'm at right now. Oh, who'd you take for last man? Did you do your pick already?
I took. I have 2 picks.
Oh yeah. Stupid Titans losing in week 1 ruined mine.
Who did I take? I took the Thursday game.
Tampa.
Tampa, that's it. I couldn't think of the team.
I thought about that one. Like, I mean, you told me it years ago. It's like on the last man, you never ever always take a home team. Take your favorite home team of the weekend. And there is not a pick this weekend of a home team that I like at all.
And I took Chargers.
So you took the Chargers at the Ravens?
Yeah.
All right. I'm not mad at it. I'm just making sure I heard correctly. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, there's not a home team at all. I mean, years past, the Titans at home against the Bills, that would have been a great one on Monday night, but the way the Bills are playing, I don't like that one at all.
I took the LA Rams at the Giants.
Okay. That's better.
I thought LA, it's like...
See, but that's a double whammy for me. That's an early game. That's a West Coast team coming east and an early game. Yes, please.
Yeah, but they don't have their quarterback, their running back, or their receiver, or their starter cornerback.
I get it, but I'm just saying, like, that's one of those. I remember one of my bookies many moons ago made that mention. It's like you have a West Coast team playing early East Coast. Never bet on the West Coast team. Now, with the line and everything, that's a different conversation. But it's just one of those, like, I don't know who the Rams played last week.
I don't know. I watched that awful Dallas Giants game. It was just like they were killing their players.
Where's the
the quarterback might be back. He just got knocked.
All right, LA was at Seattle last week, so there it's a full travel week. So it's not like they played like a Carolina last week and then stayed in Virginia somewhere for the week and then are going to New York. So that's a full travel week for them. I don't know. That's a tough one, bro. I don't like it. I don't know. I don't know shit. Obviously, you have 2 picks left. I only have 1 left. I can't talk. I went full homer. I took Green Bay.
That's okay.
Green Bay at Chicago. That's basically a home game.
Let's see, I don't think I'll show me everyone's picks now.
Yeah, I didn't show it till after kickoff, but I know AC said he liked that Rams pick too, which I get it. I do. I just like that thing stuck in my like little things that I've heard here and there from different people. Like that little thing is you never take a West Coast team on an early game East side. But again, that's being said with the spread, which this isn't with the spread. This is a straight up bet. Hey, Florida lost today. That's a good one. Florida lost to an unranked LSU. That's always nice.
So there was 24 people that took the Bucks.
24. I mean, this might be a big weekend. I'd say, I think you guys are probably. I think that Rams pick's probably going to be the number 1 pick of the week, as far as most picked. So, I'm going to be a Giants fan tomorrow.
There was only 2 losers last week. Someone that didn't pick and the Raiders.
Yeah. Speaking of, for the record, everybody out there listening, when we were talking about Gruden last week, apparently he continued to be a dumb dickhead, racist guy. So he quit and went on his life. I was 100% wrong. I remember quote, I believe, to my best attempt at quoting myself was, if he is so stupid to still do that now, I couldn't imagine him being so stupid, whether he holds those thoughts still or not, but to at least put those in email. But apparently as recent as like 2017, 18 or something like that, there found some emails of him being a racist douche canoe. So just to show my own fallibility.
I saw there was like
John
a push
Gruden is
by like cheerleaders and somebody else that was like pushing for the release of said emails.
I don't know. Yeah, I saw something about like they wanted all sorts of his emails from forever. And the interesting thing, in the grand scheme of things, is that he wasn't even in the league.
Yeah, they were saying he was in ESPN commentary,
he was a commentator
for a while.
at the time. Yeah, this is when he was doing Monday Night Football, and so it wasn't even like, it wasn't even him complaining about a ref or somebody as a coach, going like that fucking alligator lip, whatever. I can't remember what the phrase was. It was something like that. Cost us the game. It was. I don't know, maybe it was him, because it was him and the owner of the Redskins, I think it was who the email was with back in 2012 at least. Mm-hmm. And so maybe he was lobbying for the job to take over the Redskins or something like that, and that's why he was talking to him or whatever. But it's not like, he's complaining as a coach that this ref cost us the game, and he's talking bad about the coach and just kind of went off a little bit and maybe said something stupid because he was angry. He wasn't even a coach. It's like, and I don't know, maybe Gruden's that hardcore of a fan of the sport that a ref making a bad call is like a personal affront to him, even though he's not a coach at the time. But I don't know. It's just so weird that he was out of the game at the time too.
Right. So I don't know when that one comment was that I sent to the group that was him like shitting on the commissioner. So I was like, you don't shit on the commissioner and expect things not to happen in the NFL world. I
mean, Goodell's got some problems, but yeah, I agree with you. That's my favorite Portnoy thing, like Goodell, like him going off on Goodell forever.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
El Presidente, the Barstool Sports guy.
No idea.
He hates Roger Goodell. He's one of those that thinks Roger Goodell has been ruining football. But apparently not like John Gruden hates him, because Gruden's quote about the
different kind of
pushing the trans player or the gay player onto the trying to push for that kid to get drafted or whatever, and I don't know, to be fair, I don't know I'm not smart enough in football to say whether that particular player was worth the draft pick that he is, and whether he got more value because he would be the first openly gay player in the sport or not, because I could see that as a conversation to be had carefully, very carefully, to say, is it possible that because he was openly gay that he got picked higher because it was a better sales point for that organization and they can be the first team that's on board and, they get to fly the rainbow flag at their stadium or something like that? I think it's a real conversation to be had.
That's funny.
If he's not that good a player, but, it's... Say again?
I'm just laughing about... They're the first team to get to fly the rainbow flag at the stadium.
you get the point, though. I mean, if they only drafted the kid because it would be a good marketing thing for them, because they thought, hey, if we draft this gay kid, maybe we can get more gay people to come to games and sell more tickets. And like, if it's really just a marketing sales pitch, not that this kid's going to make our team better, it's that this kid's going to make our team more valuable. Which gets into that it's the age-old argument of professional sports in general. It's like, that's AC's complaint about Jimmy Jones, is that, Jimmy Jones? Is that right? Cowboys?
That's the name, yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I said it out loud and then I thought it was the wrong name.
Yeah.
I thought it was Sheriff. That's Sheriff Jimmy
J.J. Jones.
It's Jerry Jones. See, I was wrong. See, you guys. Jerry Jones at Dallas. That's it. Dallas is his AC's complaint is Jerry Jones is a businessman. He's not a sports guy. He's trying to make money off of sports. He's not trying to win sports. And so, that's his whole, why UT's a bad product, because UT doesn't care about really winning games. They just care about making sure people come out and spend the money. And so if And again, I don't know this kid from the Rams pedigree or how good he is or what kind of stats he has or anything like that. But if that's part of the conversation, that's a problem for the sport, in my opinion. If we're going to draft this guy because it's going to make our PR look nice and we're going to sell more tickets and more jerseys and this, that, and the other, that's not good for the sport. And that could be Gruden's stance or it could not be Gruden's stance on this kid. Gruden could just hate him because he's gay, and that's Gruden's issue and he has to deal with that. But my point just being is that it's a conversation that should be allowed to be had, I guess. As sports fans, we should be allowed to have the conversation on, did the Rams do that because it was good for the team in winning games, or did the Rams do that because it would sell tickets? And that's one of those guys. I mean, even me saying it out loud right now, I'm like, this is a dicey conversation to have. I got to be careful with this because I'm not trying to downplay this individual at all because I don't know the stats. I don't know this person. I don't know the skill set of this individual. But
right, it's a debate that's become upon other industries as well, as far as like entertainment.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that's weird. I think it's weird that we have to be careful about talking about it. Maybe not. Maybe we should be careful about talking about it. I take that back. Maybe we need to be careful about talking about it, but we still need to be willing to talk about it. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. We should just be careful.
Yeah, I mean, that skepticism of it being a disingenuous promotion of that product.
Right. Or that individual, either way.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Or that, I mean, as AC likes to point out, that entertainment value, the product.
I don't know what that means, but I get what you're saying. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's the unfortunate state of America right now. But
I don't think it's a bad question to ask.
I don't think so either.
Do I like this for the quality of it, or am I liking this because it's bringing something about that hasn't been there before?
Right. I know. And I agree. What was it? It's the Preds, right? They have a prospect that's the first openly gay hockey player. So it's the Predators kid.
I think so, yeah.
And again, it's same story. It's like, if he's good, he's good. I don't care, personally. But did the Preds pick him up because he's good, or did they pick him up because it's going to sell well? And that's my concern. And maybe that's my prejudice showing that I even think that thought. But I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only person that thinks that thought.
Right. And I don't think he made the opening roster.
Right. And which is a good sign, I guess, to say that the Preds didn't pick him up just for a showpiece.
Yeah, I mean, that's on average of any prospect.
Right, they usually don't. But
you can start out on the farm team.
Right, like I said, it's just it bothers me that as we're talking about this, there's a little twinge in the back of my head. It's like, man, we got to be careful with this one.
Right.
Got to be real careful about how we talk about that. But again, like I said, that might be the right way to look at it. It might be that we should be careful about the way we talk about it, not be flippant and be disrespectful or disregarding of an individual, because we don't know the specifics of the situation, obviously. Right. But more importantly, we don't.
It's bringing about the cognizance of the situation,
right? And I think that's fair. I think that's the fair way to look at it, is to be honest about it and not look the other way if the player's good or bad. Respect the player for what the player is as a player. And then their personal life, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's my thing, is I don't care.
Right.
Their personal life doesn't matter to me as long as they're not out beating their wife or husband or whatever, or killing people. And we still have plenty of those that play professional sports. So what's that matter?
Right.
I mean, Ray Lewis is a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. He's got a gold jacket already, doesn't he?
Is he dead?
I don't know if he has a gold jacket.
He's going to get one, though.
Is he not dead?
No, Ray Lewis ain't dead. He only retired a handful of years ago.
Who am I thinking of?
The guy that he shot's dead, yes. Oh, these are the jokes, people. I mean, what wasn't
the guy that played for the
Ravens?
The Ravens, yeah.
Yeah. Is Ray Lewis dead? I'm going to have to look that shit up. I don't think he's dead.
Who am I thinking of? I thought there's someone similar that I may be thinking of. Sorry.
Yeah, no. He retired in 2012. What's it, 10 years before you're eligible for Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see next summer. He might be, if he's a first balloter, it'll be next summer. Yeah, he doesn't have a death date on his wiki, so I think he's alive.
My bad.
Yeah, he's your age there, Max. maybe a year older than you.
That was cool, though.
But he played his entire career at Baltimore. I didn't know that. Drafted in 96, the 26th pick overall. Played from 96 to 2012 in Baltimore. 2 Super Bowls, 1 Super Bowl MVP, 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, 7-time first team All-Pro, 13 Pro Bowls, 3-time tackle leader. Pretty good resume. Plus a murder. Was it Albert Hayesworth was here last week, right? He was doing some pregame stuff here at the game last week. Was that right?
No idea.
Did you see that, Max?
No.
I remember there's some, I don't know, it was one of those, Albert Hayesworth is another douche canoe out there that went on with did a good life.
He played here, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he went pro, and he was a solid pro. But, yeah. Anyway, moral of the story is, as long as you're not breaking the law in your personal life, I don't care if you're an athlete. I want you to be an athlete and be the best version of the athlete you can.
Start getting gun charges, but got to start questioning what you are as a player.
I don't know about gun charges really bother me. It's the, beating your wife up in an elevator kind of shit. That's the ones I don't like. Shooting at people, getting shot at, being in some sort of gunfight on the street of whatever city you're in. Those things are problematic.
I think, as well as illegal discharge. I think that was, I want to say it's somebody on the Ravens or somewhere in the,
I think that's what he ended up.
Some team in the
getting.
Northeast, like he had it in his pocket, and shot himself in the leg.
I mean, there's the Pierre Paul from New York who blew his hand off at the 4th of July playing with fireworks. That was a funny story. He missed an entire season.
I remember that
because he blew his 2 fingers off playing with fireworks at the 4th of July. Missed an entire season.
Football player?
Yeah. A good football player, too. He's a good defensive lineman for New York, yeah.
Guess you can still play with the nubs.
Yeah. But, he missed the whole season, but then he came back and played a couple more years and then retired.
Damn.
Yeah, touchdown. Points.
I mean, that's one of I don't know the exact specific, but most NFL players don't play more than 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, the NFL average is is 2 years, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew it was super short.
Yeah. And I mean, and you got to think about it too. It's how long has Brady been playing?
Right.
How much does that push the average up?
Right. As I said, yeah. How much is that throwing the average? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hell, you got. Go ahead.
5 years for retirement.
Say again.
I think that get NFL retirement, you got to play for 5 years. Not very long.
But I mean, how? What is that? That's okay. So on the labor conversation, that's a weird thing. If you play in the NFL for 5 years, you're a millionaire.
Yeah, but you
Depending.
get retirement.
No, you're a millionaire. You have to be.
Why?
Because I believe, I have to go look it up again. But a rookie contract, a non-drafted rookie contract is 4.25. And then if you were in the league for 2 years, your minimum contract, no matter what you do, who you're playing for, what you're doing, your minimum contract is 7 and something. By year 5, you're over $1 million contract, obligated, no matter what you are. If you have a contract in the NFL and it's the 5th year you've played in the NFL, your contract minimum is over $1 million.
I guess, yeah, they don't have 2-way contracts, I guess, like the NHL.
I don't know. I'm just saying, NFL contract, their minimum salary, I think it maxes at year 5 at 1.2.
Yeah, I mean, does the NHL have farm teams?
NHL?
Yeah. Or, sorry, the NFL.
No.
Okay.
No, the closest...
Yes,
Right, yeah, we're watching it right now. It's called college ball. I would like to see... I don't know if I want to see follow... I would like to see a D league, not a farm league. I think that would be cool for pro ball. An actual developmental league that isn't college ball.
Canadian football, where there's players that come up Canadian football or whatever.
And there's some European league stuff, too, that goes on, and some of those guys come over randomly, rarely. I mean, that T. Martin went and played for Brussels or something like that, some German team. But I would like to see that's what I made the joke that The Rock bought the XFL from the wrestling guy, McMahon.
Yeah.
For $1 billion. or maybe $100 million. It wasn't as much as I thought it should be for a thing. But I was like, my thought was like, if I could sit down with The Rock and hang out and have him do a podcast with me, because we're boys, be like, hey man, if you're going to do this thing, do it as a D League, do it as a direct competition to college football, and I think you would do. I think that would be an amazing product that you could put out on the field. But I don't know. Maybe it was just a rumor, and it was just that Billions. Somebody conflated that Billions show that he was on.
I know the XFL was a thing for a little while, and there was like an indoor football league.
And then there's the lingerie football league, which is the dumbest thing ever. Like, that's just gross. Like, as a dude, I'm still like that. Like, I'm not okay with that.
There's like a Canadian football league that has a couple more players, and the field's slightly different.
It's bigger, and like the goalpost is in the middle of the end zone instead of the back of the end zone. It's weird.
Something like that, yeah.
Tennessee gonna make this a game. All right, last call, fellas. What you got?
$15 million. Rock purchase.
$15 million?
$15 million.
God, that's nothing. I don't know what he bought per se, but it seems like nothing for a sports league. All right. So, active bets. I got $5 says it doesn't go over 60, which I'm pretty sure I'm winning that one. You got cash on you? Or are you gonna pay me before you leave?
I got cash on me, bro.
All right, just checking.
I'm balling.
All right, Max, you got anything else you want to do?
Nope.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna be a show, kids. Anything?
Just do it.
Nothing. Max, you doing the outro?
No.
That's fine. Same old.
We are Almost in Agreement at almostinagreement.com. We're also on Facebook. We would love it if you follow us. We'd also love if you catch us out on Twitter. We're also on your favorite local, international / national podcast provider.
Good save.
If
Good
we're
save.
not, we would love you to request us from your national, international podcast provider.
As well as local podcast provider. Go ahead.
Yes, and local podcast providers. Local politics going on right now. We've got local city elections. Check us out at Almost in Agreement / city elections, if that is correct. I'm
21.
Nod, that
city
is
elections
correct.
21.
City elections 21. We are Almost in Agreement. AlmostInAgreement.com.
Almost in Agreement at gmail.com if you want to email us. We have a YouTube channel as well. Look us up in there. Like, follow, share, friend, retweet, subscribe, 5-star reviews. All those things help us get the word out. I'm working on some more school board people, as well as I got Ron McPherson lined up. I just haven't got the date down. Good night, everybody.
All right. See you guys.
See you.
Bye.